Hey guys, it's Anthony here with Tweaktown, and we're back with our benchmarks on The Division. So The Division is Ubisoft's latest open world RPG based on the Snowdrop engine, which they developed in-house with Massive Entertainment. We teased earlier on today, or yesterday depending on when you watch this video, that we were going to be playing around with the GeForce GTX Titan X, two of those in SLI, versus the AMD Radeon R9 Fury X, two of those in Crossfire. So we got some pretty interesting results. NVIDIA worked with Ubisoft on The Division, with The Division being a GameWorks title. So most people expected NVIDIA to have improved performance in The Division, and they were right. So NVIDIA, for the most part, beats AMD hands down without a problem in every single resolution that we tested, which was a 1920 by 1080, 2560 by 1440, 3840 by 2160, and 3440 by 1440. So how much did NVIDIA beat AMD by? Well, at 4K, you're looking at a couple of frames per second. You're looking at the Titan X with 36.5 FPS average versus the 33.6 FPS on the Fury X. Not too much, but it's enough to have NVIDIA claim a win there. And if we're comparing SLI results and Crossfire results, you're looking at 61 frames per second for the Titan X versus 52.5 FPS for the Fury X in Crossfire. So there's a bigger difference there when we're looking at Titan X SLI versus Fury X in Crossfire. 61 frames per second for me. I like to have about 60 FPS average, 60 FPS minimum really in all of my games, where the Titan X and SLI is the only cards, the only setup that we tested that can actually reach 60 frames per second minimum, average, where the Fury X cards in Crossfire were only able to achieve 52. So it's not like it's too much. You can adjust some of the details on the Fury X cards in The Division down to medium on some of them, maybe the shadows and the post-processing effects. There's a bunch of visual effects that you can adjust in The Division to increase or decrease performance, depending on whether you want more performance or better visuals. But for the benchmarking that we've done today, the Fury X loses out to the Titan X, and the performance gap is even bigger when you're going into a dual GPU scenario with the Fury X Crossfire losing to the Titan X SLI setup. We've been testing this with even more cards, so you can expect another article to follow this. So right now this is the Titan X and Titan X SLI versus the Fury X and Fury X Crossfire, but we've actually got another article coming up where I'm currently testing a GTX 980 right now, and then I'm going to throw another one of those in for SLI, and then we might go back and test out the GTX 780 in SLI. I also have the 390X, two of those for Crossfire. I also have the 295X2 and a second 295X2, so I can do quad fire, which is something I'm really excited to see. I actually have 4 of the 980s, so depending on what I do, I might actually test the 4 GTX 980s in SLI versus the 2 295X2s, so we can do 4-way GPU v 4-way GPU for NVIDIA and AMD. After that article, I'm going to start testing triple 4K, so that's 11,520 by 2160, which is very strenuous on every setup that we have. It doesn't matter what card or how many cards I throw at that resolution, it's hardcore, and it's a great test to see whether the 4 gig of RAM on the Fury X, 4 gig of HBM I should say on the Fury X is going to strain in The Division versus the 12 gig of GDDR5 RAM available on Titan X. So stay tuned for that. We will have more very shortly on The Division.